What's up, Kansas City? And welcome to another segment. My name is Dr. March Williams, and I am your host today. My guest today is Dr. Carmaletta Williams. Dr. Carmen, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. March, for the invitation.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're excited about the new program or the new documentary that is in the making, and it's about our very own Langston Hughes. And can you share with us the title and a little bit more about it?
The documentary is I Too Sing America, Langston Hughes Unfurled. And what we want to do is to make the definitive documentary on Langston Hughes, on his life and on his work. And he's special because he is one of us. He was born in Joplin and raised in Lawrence and had relatives here in Kansas City.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the audience and who it's intended for.
Well, because Hughes is a product of last century,
yes,
we want to target younger people so that we can extend that legacy. And it's really been interesting how things that he wrote in 1960 and 1950 are still pertinent today.
Okay.
And one of those is his poem, For Kids Who Die.
Oh.
And that's the teaser that we have for the documentary.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the project. I know that you have some partners and some people who have been involved in this. And before we get to that, I just want to remind people that Langston Hughes is from the Lawrence area. Mm-hmm. And there's definitely an opportunity for us to go deeper before the project actually unveils itself, so that we have background knowledge about Langston Hughes, who is actually in our backyard. But along with that, we know that there are many people who were from the Lawrence area or from the University of Kansas who may have been a project or who are a part of the project as moving forward. So can you tell us a little bit about those persons who were involved in this project?
I will. Each one of these people has a resume that's probably 30 or 40 pages long. So
yes,
this is just kind of like a title. I'm not trying to give anyone short shrift. But the other, Madison Davis Lacey, is our lead director. He's a 4-time Emmy Award winner for documentaries, and those have been Eyes on the Prize, and almost every academic knows Eyes on the Prize. Beyond Tara, The Extraordinary Life of Hattie McDaniel, Frida Dance, which is a documentary about Katherine Dunham, and a biography of Richard Wright named Black Boy. We have Randall Maurice Jelks, who has done a biography on The Educator, Benjamin Elijah Mays.
Oh, wonderful,
so
wonderful, absolutely.
We get to bring even more of education in. Darren Kennedy is a young, extremely talented playwright. He's won many, many awards for his plays, including the Chicago Black Excellence Award, Black Theater Alliance Award, American Theater Critics Association, the Osborne Award, among others. And his work has been performed on stages from London to Chicago to Atlanta.
Wonderful, yes, absolutely.
And Tess Banyan, who is a political fundraiser and also does political commercials.
Yes. So that's needed.
Yes, but she's a media and film graduate from KU, and she's the producer. John Edgar Tidwell is a professor of English at KU, and he has done several books on Frank Marshall Davis. And that name might sound familiar because in President Obama's biography, he talks about going to visit Frank in Hawaii, and that's Frank Marshall Davis.
Wonderful. Okay, so we can make the connections of people who are on this project with their works.
Yes.
Because I've heard some very familiar titles of work that you've shared with us that belong to the people who are part of this team.
And these are major works, and those books are right here. Elena Lacey has taught English at Pushkin Leningrad State University in Russia, where she's from. And she did media and film studies at KU and now works at the KU Med Center. And me.
And you. And tell us a little bit about you. Now, I've said to people who don't know who you are and those who do know who you are that you are a renowned author, that you are an entertainer, you're a poet, and that you're an Emmy winner.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the award that you have won.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I'm proud of it.
Yes, I bet you are.
I've been performing as Zora Neale Hurston for the Kansas Humanities Council internationally, nationally since 1992 or something.
Okay.
And I performed with Crosby Kemper III on his Meet the Past program.
Yes.
And got an Emmy for that.
Yes, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about funding, because we know that anytime we try to do any type of project, it just doesn't happen. And that I'm sure that you're always in the funding mode and trying to get the money that's necessary so that you can pull this off and meet your deadlines. So tell me a little bit about the funding process for this particular project.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we have these big dreams, but they require cash, some kind of funding. So we were very fortunate. The National Endowment for the Humanities gave us a Media Makers Development Award of $50,000.
Okay.
And with that, we had a national meeting with Hughes scholars that had become part of this project. And we made the teaser as part of that project. The Kansas Humanities Council was very generous with the grant, and with that we made Langston's Lawrence with local historians and scholars talking about Langston specifically in Lawrence, and in grade school with his Jim Crow moment, with his first act of civil disobedience.
Yes, let's stop right there. Let's talk about that, because I know that you have a story that relates itself to that particular idea. Can you share that with us about civil disobedience and what happened to him during that time?
Sure. You know, Gandhi tells us that civil disobedience means that if there is a law that is unjust, then you are obligated to break it, but you also have to accept the consequences.
Yes.
Now, we know that this little kid didn't know all of that.
And the little kid we're talking about
is Langston Hughes.
Is Langston Hughes, yes.
But the schools in Lawrence were desegregated, supposedly. But his teacher, Miss Ida B. Lyons, had all the white kids sit in the front of the room and the black kids in the back row. So Langston made these little signs that said Jim Crow row and put one on each student's desk.
Now, the students at where he was seated, or the students?
The black students.
Okay, all right, okay.
The black students in the
Yes.
Jim Crow row.
Yes.
So because he had violated the school law, which was disrespecting your teacher, let alone that those children had been disrespected, he got expelled from school. And then a local dentist came and talked to the principal and got them reinstated. But there was something about Hughes, and it's probably his background. His grandmother was an abolitionist. Her first husband had been wounded at Harper's Ferry with John Brown and later died of those injuries. Her second husband was also an abolitionist. His uncle was the first African American elected official, and also the dean of the law school at Howard. So that was in his genetic makeup. So even though he knew he was going to get in trouble for it, he felt obligated to do something about the Jim Crow row.
Right, the Jim Crow row. Okay. All right, so that's a very interesting story, and I know that there are many other Langston Hughes stories that are available to us. If you'd like to know more, certainly you can Google, you can go to the library and learn more. Langston Hughes is ours. He's in our backyard. He is from Lawrence, Kansas, and so it's only a 45-minute ride away if you want to know more information, so that you can feel like that you have background information when this wonderful documentary hits. 70 West will take you to Lawrence, Kansas, and you can be there in about 45 minutes. But we talked about the funding, we talked about opportunities, and let's talk about audition opportunities for people, because we know that it is going to be a local documentary that they are planning, and there will be jobs available.
Yes.
So let's talk about that opportunity.
Okay. We are going to have auditions, and in fact we have line items in our budget proposals for auditions, because we want local young folk, poets, writers, musicians, etc., to be a part of this. As you said, Langston is ours.
He's ours. Yes,
he's
he
ours.
is. Yes.
He's from relatives from right down the street here, and he was raised in Lawrence. And so we want the community, the entire community, to feel a part of this project. And it's a big project. It's 2 one-hour documentaries. And we have a slew of scholars that are working with us.
Now, are these the Hughes Scholars? Or is
These
that
are
a
the
different
Hughes Scholars.
group of scholars? It's the Hughes Scholars.
Okay, now we have the Dream Documentary
Yes,
Collective, and
right.
those are the local folk, and we're all in the trenches.
Okay, just want to make sure we keep them separate.
Yes, we're in the trenches, we're writing proposals, we're writing scripts, we're moving this thing forward, and then we have the Hughes Scholars who are from all around the country. Many of them have come and met with us and agreed and are actually excited about being part of this project, and they all bring something different.
Okay.
To it. Arnold Rampersad, for example, is the Langston Hughes Scholar.
Okay.
He's done the 2-volume The Life of Langston Hughes, as well as he's an amazing biographer. He's done biographies on Arthur Ashe and Ralph Ellison and Jackie Robinson.
Oh, wow.
And Richard Wright. And he's excited. In fact, he said this is probably going to be his last big project, but we're not going to stop.
We want his project to be here in Kansas City.
Right?
We wanted him to retire. If he is actually going to do that, we want his last big project to be associated with Kansas City.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yes,
And we're not going to let him stop.
Yes.
He retired from Stanford, so he can devote
okay.
some
Well,
time
we know
for
how
us.
retirement goes.
Yeah.
You retire just to move on to something else.
Something more
Yes,
exciting.
yes.
John Callahan, who's a professor of humanities and English at Lewis and Clark College,
Okay.
has written many books, and he's the literary executor of Ralph Ellison's estate. Kiba Sullivan Harper is professor of English at Spelman College, and she has done work and has books on the simple stories. It's Langston Hughes' character, Jesse B. Simple,
Okay.
which is the everyman,
Yes.
the Negro everyman. Vera Kaczynski is professor of English and comparative literature at Vanderbilt. Wallace Best is chair of the Department of Religion at Princeton, and he's also the acting chair of the Center of African American Studies at Princeton.
Okay.
Miriam McGram is University Distinguished Professor at the University of Kansas, and she's founder of the History of Black Writing. Robert O'Meally. Bob O'Meally is professor of English and comparative literature at Columbia University, and he's founder of its Center for Jazz Studies. And Stephen Tracy is a University Distinguished Professor of African American Studies at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. He's written, edited, co-edited, or provided introductions to over 30 books.
Okay.
And his focus is the blues.
Oh, wow. Wow. So we have a multitude of areas that are being embraced as we're moving forward.
Yeah.
And I know that you have some others on there. But
Just one
just
more,
listening-
Chris DeSantis.
Yeah, Chris DeSantis. Well, tell us a little bit about her and then
Know him.
him,
Chris
okay.
DeSantis is professor of African American Studies and chairman of English at Illinois State University.
Okay, so all of these talents are coming together.
Yes.
They're coming to Kansas City. It's people who have done the work, who know the work. We're not talking about short-stopping and letting people grind their teeth on a project. These are people that probably, if you go back and you think about opportunities that you've had to read about Langston Hughes and other people that Dr. Carmen has shared with us, you will say, oh yeah, I have a book, or I remember reading about that person. So all of these people are working collectively and collaboratively on this project, which means it's going to be phenomenal as we're moving forward. Do you have a date in which the project is due to open?
Well, we have a timeline. Of course, most of it depends on funding.
Yes.
But we anticipate that we're going to get it.
Okay.
You know, we put it out there, and it is magical. The Lawrence Arts Center is partnering with us, and they have a reputation. We have the most amazing scholars. So we think in a year that we should have this ready. In August, we're going to put in the proposal to NEH, but we're going to be addressing other funding sources now so that we can start production in the fall, and then in a year we should be finished.
Okay, and so before we close the segment, would you give us a contact number or information that people can go on and find more information about the documentary?
Sure, dreamdocumentary.org.
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 And we'll be looking forward to hearing more about it as we're moving forward. This is Dr. Carmaletta Williams, who is a part of the documentary on Langston Hughes that will be coming to you in the fall of 2017. In closing, I'd like to say, we always talk about change, but it is our opportunity. Each one of us has an opportunity to be the change that we want to see.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.